Aloha and welcome back. I know I've been a little bit sporadic lately, but I'm coaching a basketball team. We practice every day. We got a game today, so I'm just doing a little bit more touching grass, if you will. But we're going to keep going over this Bernie Sanders, Andrew Schultz podcast. We're going to look at Tim Black. Then we're going to look at some other people. Right now, Tim Black, he does not consider himself on the left, but he considers himself a Democratic hater, Democratic Party hater, and he's not a Republican. He's not on the right, but he doesn't consider himself on the left. So let's look at Tim Black, looking at Bernie and Andrew Schultz.
On deck with Tim Black.
Cassius, sorry, I hate to interrupt you. We have a question we want to ask about what happened to you in 2016 with this Bernie Bros movement, where your followers are seeing they have a racism problem, a misogyny problem. Do you think that's a super PAC thing behind that?
That was the Democratic establishment. That was the.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know, that was just, they were sitting there. We had a lot of young people. We had people of color, and they create this kind of myth with the help of the corporate media.
He's still going to caucus with the Democrats.
You know, all that stuff.
You know, it's kind of interesting to that note is during this election, the podcast space, which the Democrats largely avoided, they feel had some influence in the election, and they started to label us the podcast bros and said that we were sexist and we were racist and bigoted. It's almost like it's the exact same strategy to get you out of there.
Yeah, that's what the liberal elite China does. They run away. Look, getting, again, I would hope that everybody who's watching the program is that we as a nation have got to end all forms of bigotry, right?
Yes.
That I start off as a basic assumption.
Unless it's to your close friends, right?
Yeah, whether it's racism or sexism, homophobia, or xenophobia, whatever it is. But, and you know, liberal Democrats talk about that all the time. And then you get to what we call identity politics.
Yeah.
That you're black, you're wonderful, you're tremendous, you're gay, you're the greatest human being on earth.
Yeah, yeah.
And rather than say, what do you stand for?
Exactly.
You're gay, that's fine, who cares?
Yeah.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
You left out one there, Bernie. You left out Jewish, Bernie. Yeah, you left out I'm Jewish. Look at me. Don't say a mumbling word. You left that part out, Bernie. Just thought I'd slide that in. You know, because that's your identity. You know, so I thought I'd remind you that, that there's that. You know how many people got kicked out of Congress because black people wanted them out? 0. You know how many people got kicked out because the AIPAC wanted them out? A lot. 2 of them came on this show, and they were both black. But hey, no problem, Bernie. We understand you couldn't remember all that. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot going on in your head at the time. When you called out, race and sexuality, you did orientation, It's okay. I'm sure you'll get to it. Right, Bern?
Yeah. Well, what do you stand for?
Yeah.
You know, is every gay person brilliant and wonderful and great? No, of course not. Everybody's a human being.
Yeah.
So the issue is what you stand for, which gets you back to what we discussed earlier, class politics, in the sense of which side are you on? Are you going to stand with working families? Are you going to raise the minimum wage to a living wage or not?
But still, class is an identity, so that's still a type of identity politics. And Bernie, his entire life, as I said in a few other videos, has been doing identity politics his entire life. He's always, like I said, he chained himself to the black lady during the civil rights movement. He was there's a picture of him sitting behind Martin Luther King Jr. giving a speech. He's always done identity politics, and I don't understand why they act like it's a bad thing now. It's just weird to me.
Are you going to fight to guarantee health care to all people or not? Are you going to demand that the wealthiest people start paying their fair share of taxes or not? Those are the issues. And no one cares what color you are, what your gender is, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm sorry.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector. Next on deck.
Yeah, as I listen to Bernie talk that talk, as Bernie talks that talk, I'm constantly reminded that Bernie is full of it. Yeah, let's rewind what Bernie said, because see, this is how Bernie got me. This is how I felt for Bernie with this stuff back in 2015. because they had a bunch of people watching my show that was like, Bernie be talking about all the issues that we care about, Tim. I know you hate politics and politicians, Tim, but Bernie Sanders is different. And I actually believe that for a minute.
Me too.
Bernie just said the Democratic elite are the ones that spreaded the lies about him and his supporters. And I was one of those supporters that they spread the lies about.
Right, exactly.
But Bernie made a mistake here just in this context. Democrat elite also means Bernie. Liberal elite also means Bernie.
It does now.
Yeah, so Bernie, cut the garbage, cut the lies, cut the hypocrisy. You're part of the 1% too. You're part of the 1% yourself.
Why are millions of people with neck pain switching to this weird?
It took me a while. Like, it took me till like 2020 when he like renounced like reparations and all this stuff. I'm like, what's this guy do? Like, what's? He was like, I don't know what you mean by that. Look, man, Bernie Sanders, if the Democrats are so bad, you wouldn't be caucusing with them. You wouldn't be rolling with them. You wouldn't be campaigning for them. This same guy, he comes out, he says all these things and shows and Akash, they're eating it up and the whole crowd eats it up and all the young people eat it up and they don't have the foresight, a lot of them, to understand Bernie gonna be right there with them come election day, try to get you to go vote for Biden just like he tried to get you to go vote for Clinton, just like he tried to get you to go vote for Kamala. Like, what good is standing up if you know damn well you're gonna sit right there? Why waste my energy
Right?
standing up just to say, sit down and vote for these people, be quiet?
Exactly.
Because that's exactly what Bernie be on. But that's only after he's raised like $100, $200 million from poor people who believed in his ass.
Give to the duopoly.
Then he goes and sits down. He don't sit down broke. You know, Dr. Cornel Weston raised a lot of money and he went all the way to the end. Bernie will raise a whole lot of money out of people's pockets, and then what will he do? Fold right into the system.
Yeah.
Y'all talk all that mess about my brother Dr. Cornel West, but you know what I did not see him do? I did not see him campaigning for Kamala. I did not see that. I did not see that.
He did not give in to the duopoly.
That was Black Eye Court bringing West on this show, but Bernie, the guy who'll go on every channel, every podcast, and say all the right things and take a dump on the establishment and then fall right in line with the establishment every time. Every time. So it's a big no from me, boss. That's a no from me. I'll take the 0. You know what Eddie said? I'll take the 0. I'll take the 0. Because I will not be tricked. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Not going to be fooled again.
Can't be fooled again. I will not be fooled again. Bernie Sanders is talking that talk, family, and what you got to do is be able to sift through it and realize he part of the problem. He part of the problem because he lulls people to sleep and they get excited and they think, oh, we're in the revolutionary line. We in the stand up for the people line. And then, king,
put you back in the oligarchy.
king, falls right in line like a good soldier. Nah, man. That ain't gonna say the Democrats this time. Bernie Sanders, not even you, can keep us hanging adjacent to Democrats. It ain't gonna happen, fam. Them days is over.
Come green. Let's go.
Like action slacks. Them days is over. Them days is not coming back. All the MVAs are connected now. All the DMVs are connected. Can't just go get your license suspended in Maryland and go get a new one in DC. You can't do that no more, Bernie.
All right, from the Tim Black show to the Clay Kane show with Dr. Omékongo Dibinga. So again, Tim Black was more, I don't know, independent. He says he's not left, but he comes from like a left view kind of. And then Dr. Dibinga here, he's being interviewed by Clay Kane. Dibinga's going to be a liberal. So he's going to be like a a Democrat, liberal, center-right type of guy coming at it from that perspective.
He was on the Flagrant podcast, in case folks are wondering. I want y'all to hear what Bernie Sanders said about identity politics. Identity politics. Listen to Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders.
And then you get to what we call identity politics.
Yeah.
That you're black, you're wonderful, you're tremendous, you're gay, you're the
Class politics.
So we heard what he said earlier. I just cut it out real quick. It was the same exact thing.
Class politics.
Class politics. Reminds me of a professor I had in college who I would always argue with. So there's that. And then Bernie talked about how Democrats,
If you want to learn how to edit,
are a threat to democracy. Listen to Senator Bernie Sanders.
Could we not also say, if ostensibly there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008, are they not also a threat to democracy? We often hear.
Fair enough. That is, yeah, I'm not going to argue with that point.
So Bernie Sanders will admit that the Democrats are a threat to democracy, but he's still going to caucus with them and pretty much be a Democrat the past 8 years, 12 years.
And that's why I'm proudly an independent.
Okay, so actually, I'll let you start, Dr. Omékongo. What are your thoughts on these recent comments from Senator Bernie Sanders?
hey, you remember Ashley Babbitt?
Yes.
So, for those of y'all who may not know, I know it's been talked about, Urban View. Ashley Babbitt was one of the insurrectionists who tried to assault the members of Congress during their insurrection on January 6th. She was shot and killed because one of the officers didn't know whether she was armed or not, but they had breached a door that they said don't go through, or this is going to happen. The Trump administration settled with her family yesterday for $5 million. They made this woman's family a millionaire for being an insurrectionist. My point is this. I am sick of this both sidesing of Democrats and Republicans, this BS argument that they're both the same threat. You're going to tell me that...
Yeah, so he's a hard right liberal trying to play the game and separate the Democrats from the Republicans. Like he's living on the Jones plantation and he's wanting it, right? Like he's going to vote for Mr. Johnson instead of Mr. Jones. But there's no difference. Joe Biden wrote the crime bill. Barack Obama fined us for being poor if we didn't have health insurance or couldn't afford health insurance. Hillary Clinton helped with the crime bill. Bill Clinton passed it. They say they don't care about us. Kamala Harris putting people in jail for their kids being truant in school and stuff like that. Kamala Harris putting people in jail for smoking weed when she says she smoked weed. So yeah, they're not that much different. Like, yes, of course, everyone's different, but they are very much the same. They got the good billionaires. When they had Elon Musk, they had Zuckerberg, they had all the people that was at Trump's inauguration 4 or 5 years ago or so. It's not different. But this is what liberals do. They lie to you so that you stay in the game and you play the game.
Democrats, as imperfect as the party is, we can have that conversation. We have it every day. That they are a threat to democracy when you literally have the Trump administration.
So you don't really have it. We don't have a democracy, right? Because the Democrats and Republicans pick their rich people, and then they give us a choice of 5 or 10 rich people or whatever people they want to put in front of us, and we have to pick out of them. So out of 5, 10, 20 people, whatever it is, we get to pick out of the people they put in front of us. We don't have a real choice of picking somebody who's a farmer, a worker, a coach, a teacher, somebody who's better for the people. We get only what the businesses want. We have 2 corporate parties, and we get what the corporations put in front of us. And that's how it's always been. And that's not a true democracy.
Talking about getting rid of habeas corpus, getting rid of birthright citizenship, run down the list. This is what the...
I mean, Obama drone bombed American citizens, and they've all done this stuff. Like, it's no different. They put you in jail. They do the surveillance. I think George Bush was the first one that passed their, what is that? It was not Citizens United, whatever thing is that they can do the surveillance on us, and then Obama expanded it. They do the same stuff.
getting rid of due process and actively doing it. They are already defying the Supreme Court.
And like due process for like a Julian Assange and them, like it just depends on who's in office when they care about something. Like these guys are silly, man. Like like Malcolm X talked about the white liberals. Black liberals are just as bad, if not worse. Like they do the same thing. They sell the same stuff. They're gonna sell you right-wing liberal Democrats who will basically just hurt your future. They're not out for you. They're out for the business owners.
Defying all of this, waiting for a constitutional crisis. The Democrats are nowhere near that in any way, shape, or form. And even in talking...
And in reality, Democrats could be considered worse than Republicans because with the real, like say there was no Democratic Party, there'd be a Green Party or DSA would be strong. There could be a left-wing party. Like if they just had another right-wing party that wasn't called the Democratic Party, then they would still be just as dangerous as the Democrats. But the Democrats are as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than the Republicans because they're the ones. Hillary Clinton is the one who got Donald Trump elected. If it wasn't for Hillary Clinton and her Pied Piper strategy, Donald Trump might not have made it out of the primaries for the Republicans. And then maybe you'd have a normal Republican, which would still be the worst man ever of all time, they would say.
About the worst flaws of the Democrats. The idea that they are a quote-unquote threat to democracy. This is how...
They were a threat to democracy. They lied about Bernie supporters, which I was one of, like they said, calling us racist and sexist and whatnot. And I'm not racist. I'm not sexist. And then what? They said they were a business. The DNC is a business, and they don't have to listen to the people. They can choose who they want. And so they chose Hillary Clinton. And then when Barack Obama got involved in 2020 with Jim Clyburn, that's some pretty shady stuff. So, yes, that is a threat to democracy. When the one guy out of all the people that we've ever really kind of wanted to be president that they've let us kind of choose, they took him away from us because they wouldn't have let us, like they wouldn't have let him in if they knew we were going to choose him. But once they let him in, they just pushed him away and then they bought him out or whatever they did to him because now he's just dancing for the Democrats.
How we got where we are. This both sidesing, treat everybody the same. Bernie Sanders can be talking about being an independent. All he wants, whatever, when he caucuses with the Democrats, he might as well be one. It's problematic. And then the
flip... But he's exactly backwards, man. I hate to keep cutting him off. But how we got where we are is that he's talking that we're both siding and we're in a spot where now we're close to not having democracy. We've been both sides and are not quite both sides, and we've not had democracy. We've had fascism. We've had dictators our entire history, and that we get to choose out of the 5, 10, 20 dictators that they want to put in front of us. It's all the same families. It's all the same people. They all want the same stuff. It doesn't matter out of them. Bernie was the only one that was kind of different, but still, again, we don't have like teachers and the ability for bus drivers or construction workers to run for president and higher offices because then they wouldn't be able to work as much and they'd have to take off of work and they don't have money for commercials and all this stuff. They'd have to do stuff that they can't do. Like it should be easier for regular people to either run for office or there should just be kind of like a lottery where people are just put into office from regular jobs so that regular people can make decisions for regular people. Like, we only get a choice out of these rich oligarchs, and he's talking about we have a democracy, or we had a democracy. Now, the Democrats, the Republicans, a duopoly, the oligarchy is not democracy, and it is a threat to democracy. We're a threat to democracy all over the world.
Over to this identity politics, nonsense. We didn't create identity politics. Black people, LGBTQ people, white men created identity politics.
That's true.
Talk about them, and every time
that's about the first true thing he said in this video.
To a conversation with Bernie, he always wants to revert back to class, as if class is not part of identity as well, which is also something that was created in this country. So this idea about who you are, or we care about who you are individually, this goes across the stream, and this is also not a both sidesing things. Trump, the Republicans got into the House, the Senate took over the Supreme Court based on identity politics. They are the creators of it. They are the beneficiaries.
Well, I would say Bernie is the least using identity politics in the wrong way, but the Democrats use identity politics all the time. Like the 90s crime bill, as I've gone over many times, but Joe Biden said if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Was that 2020? Yeah, it was 2020, right? So he said that to Charlemagne the God. Like, are you serious that like the Democrats play plenty identity politics.
Areas of it. And his inability to call a thing is one of the reasons why we're here right now.
It's funny how liberals do that. Liberals say that other people can't do what they can't do. You can't call a thing. You can't call a Democrat a danger to democracy, or a Democrat. You can't really call a Democrat out all the way to where you can, if you're for the party of the crime bill, why wouldn't you shed the party of the crime bill and go to a party that has your actual politics? I would think that might be the Green Party, and you have a little bit of a platform, so you could help build it a bit. But why would you stick with and stay hard to the party of the crime bill? I don't understand that.
Have you got a suspension?
So I want to unpack this about, I guess, Bernie insinuating that there hasn't been a fair Democratic primary, agreeing with the host. Said that we haven't had that since 2008. And I guess because in 2012, the incumbent, which happens pretty much all throughout history, when the incumbent runs, I mean, you could challenge the incumbent if you want to.
Well, that's unfair, right? If the incumbent just always almost goes unchallenged almost every time, that's not fair. That's just crowning the king again, right? But even if he was challenged, he'd be challenged by his brother's keeper or whatnot. It'd just be the other people that the establishment wants to have go against him.
But, the incumbent runs, they're running for another term. That's just kind of what happens, right? But I guess part of what Bernie was co-signing and what the other guy was saying is this whole thing that I guess Bernie feels like, or maybe his supporters feel like, the Democratic primary was stolen from him because of superdelegates. I'm assuming that's what they were talking about. So I just want to try and break down this thing for folks who may not remember. There might be some folks who disagree, but let me just be really, really clear. Mm-hmm. All right, so superdelegates are kind of like these party insiders who get a say at the convention. Yes, it sounds shady. It's like some political, BS situation, but let's really, really be clear. In 2016, we did have a primary. We did. People voted. Ballots were cast. States were won and lost. This wasn't some freaking Hunger Games Capitol rigging. It's rigged. It's rigged. It's rigged. It wasn't that.
Mm-hmm. It was.
Did the DNC favor Hillary Clinton in 2016? Absolutely.
There you go.
It was messy. It was cliquey. Think of it like high school when the cool kids picked the prom queen. Absolutely, the DNC did.
So it's rigged. When they want somebody, they'll promote them more. They'll help them more. They'll do shady things. The Democrats do very shady things to help people win or lose. So yes, that's what rigged is. You're gonna say it's not rigged, but then you're gonna describe it and define it as being rigged.
Favor her. They favored her in 2008 against Obama. Mm-hmm. They did favor her.
That's right.
It was.
And even if it's rigged against Obama, he came in with too much heat. He came in with too much fire, and he was lying, right? He came in with too much lies and stuff, and the establishment knew who he was. Once they saw him rolling, they don't care if it's him or Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders was a different beast. Bernie Sanders meant what he said. Bernie Sanders was going to give us universal health care. Obama fined us for being too poor to afford health care. The establishment likes that. They don't like Bernie Sanders. So when Obama came in and showed that he could beat Hillary Clinton and had all this momentum, they don't care if it's Obama, Hillary Clinton, or the Republican. They'd rather have Donald Trump than a Bernie Sanders, right? So, yeah, that's not the same type of rigging.
Hillary Clinton, John Edwards, and then Obama. Mm-hmm. But let's not confuse that with Bernie winning and being robbed, because he didn't win.
That's right.
Hillary had millions more votes, hundreds more delegates. Super delegates weren't even needed to push her over the edge. She walked in with the receipts.
There you go.
Also, he lost black voters. He lost older voters. He got mollywopped in southern states during the primaries, and that matters. He had momentum, but he didn't have a coalition. He didn't have the base. It wasn't robbery, Senator. It was a reality check.
Coalition or base. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
And as far as 2020, the DNC literally changed debate rules to let Mike Bloomberg stroll in with $1 billion ego.
Yeah.
And Bernie still got a fair shot. He was the front runner for like an hour.
For an hour,
once
he won
again,
the first
remember,
3 states.
Joe Biden was dead in the water. The campaign was over.
Yeah.
voters said they'll take Joe Biden.
Barack
So,
Obama.
baby, the election wasn't stolen. It was just lost.
Barack Obama came in and made all the people drop out except for Elizabeth Warren, Buttigieg, and all them, and they all got behind Joe Biden, and then Joe Clyburn and stuff. And was it South Carolina or North Carolina? I think it's South Carolina. And that's the first state he won. That's like the fourth or fifth state or whatever. Bernie Sanders is the first person to win the first 2 states and not win the primary. And I think he won the first 3. So yeah, they did a lot of rigging. They did a lot of finagling, shenanigans. If nothing else, they did a lot of malarkey. So you might not call it what was it? You might not call it rigging exactly, but it was a lot of malarkey. When Joe Biden's whole thing was no malarkey. He's full of it.
Superdelegates are messy, and I believe they've changed that rule thus far, but they weren't the Grim Reaper of Bernie's campaign. The voters were. So let's stop pretending a revolution got stolen when it was just the primary.
Yeah.
So there's that.
It would have been nice if Bernie took his revolution to the Green Party or DSA or made a burn party or whatever, burn it down party or something like that, right? And to see what the revolution would have done from 2016 to 2020. And I bet, I think he would have won if he would have done a third. Maybe he could have made his own party. It wouldn't matter, because if he made his own party, the Green Party would just jump into his party. Like, we don't care what the name is. We don't care the brand. We care the politics, the policies. We care what the people are going to do when they get into office. The Democrats and Republicans do care what the people do when they get into office, but they want them to do different stuff than what the Green Party wants. They want them to keep the businesses happy and shiny and whatnot. But the Green Party wants to help the people get happy and shiny and fed and housed and whatnot.
There's that.
Hey, it's John. And before you...
I want to also say Bernie's platform, great platform, excellent platform.
Green Party platform.
I love this platform.
Sure.
We couldn't get him on this show. I know for other people it's hard to get him on. But he did go on Joe Madison's show.
You can get me on your show if you want.
Great platform. I love it. But he wasn't the innovator of that platform. Know what that platform was? Damn near verbatim? A man called Jesse Jackson in 1984.
Yes.
Or the Green Party, also forever.
Jesse Jackson, 1988. It was almost identical. So I'm not saying Bernie don't have good ideas, but you didn't have the coalition.
Yeah.
And your platform wasn't groundbreaking, right? So there's that. That just kind of pisses me off.
Mm-hmm.
Then this idea, you say you're black, but play it again. It's like 20 seconds. I just want...
So yeah, right-wing liberals, this is exactly what Malcolm X and Martin Luther King were talking about. How these guys are acting like the Democrats are so better and just dogging Bernie for his platform. And I don't know, this is kind of crazy to me.
I want to hear one more time. Make sure I got my mind right. Play it again. Identity politics. Let's play one more time. Make sure I heard it right.
And then you get to what we call identity politics.
Yeah.
That you're black, you're wonderful, you're tremendous, you're gay, you're the greatest human being on earth.
Yeah.
And rather than say, what do you stand for?
Exactly.
You're gay, that's fine. Who cares? But what do you stand for?
Yeah.
And that is a messed up part of this interview. Like, Bernie Sanders' his entire career leaned into identity politics. There was a time, and I think it was the 90s, where a guy was like something about homos in the military, and Bernie's like, are you talking about our gay brothers and sisters that defend our democracy or something, whatever he said, right? But Bernie's always been on that identity politics in the good way. And I don't understand why he's like backing away from it now, but that is that liberal stuff. Like, he's becoming more of a Democrat. Like, these guys, they're doing a liberal, just, they talk about the both sidesism and this and that. There is no both sides. The Democrats and the Republicans, it's just a mesh. It's so crazy. Bernie was good on identity politics. Now he's getting bad. These guys are going to start calling him out. Now, when he was, there's just...
Okay,
you know, is every gay person brilliant?
Oh, no.
What this...
Sorry, sometimes I'll be clicking around and it jumps around. I don't know how to work this very well.
Sanders, it sounds like he's talking about some dominant victimhood. I guess, is he implying that white dudes are being pushed out? Is that what he's implying there?
Sounds like it.
The Democratic Party does not play identity politics. Kamala Harris barely talked about identity. That she was not talking about race or gender or sexuality or.
But you should. You should talk about race, gender, sexuality. Everybody has an identity. Everybody has different wants and needs, and you need to talk to each person as an individual.
They, them, or pronouns. Joe Biden was not talking about that.
Joe Biden wasn't talking about anything. Joe Biden could barely talk.
You might have some people in different roles in the party, in local roles or a role in the House, but the Democratic Party at large, they don't harp on identity politics. It is the Republican Party that does that.
Exactly.
Senator Sanders, welfare queen, Willie Horton ad, Haitian immigrants are eating cats and dogs. It is the Republican Party that does that. Transgender, trans, they, them. And it's not just Trump. Reagan did it. Bush did it. His son did it. Nixon, Barry Goldwater.
Going back, Joe Biden worked with them. Joe Biden said he didn't care how black people got or how anybody got to where they were, that he just wanted to put them in jail because he cared about his family. What Hillary Clinton called us super predators. None of the Democrats have ever cared about us. Go back as far as that, they're just being silly and disingenuous.
That's right.
The Southern strategy is identity politics. Southern strategy 2.0. And shame on Bernie Sanders for either not knowing or not caring, and either one, it's egregious.
Listing your vacation rentals.
Egregious. These guys are egregious. Like, man, you can't be serious. These guys are very egregious to me.
That's right.
Obama did not play into identity politics like that. Obama said in 2008 he didn't support reparations.
And Obama sucked. Obama should have played into identity politics, and he should have supported reparations. You're saying exactly how the Democrats are the same as the Republicans. How are you? Yes, the Democrats are Republicans. The Republicans are Democrats. There's no difference, and you guys are acting like there's this big thing.
He supported
aggravating
plans that would help black people, but he wasn't a supporter of reparations. Oh, but what are you talking about?
All right. Obama's not a supporter of reparations. The Green Party is. We're on the left. The Democrats are liberals. They are center right. Look up Malcolm X speeches. Watch a week of Malcolm X speeches. Then watch a week of Martin Luther King speeches. Look up some Angela Davis. Good Lord. These people, they're just Democrats and liberals are liberals. Republicans, they do the same stuff. They want the same stuff. They have the same goals, the same policies. You want something different? Look at the Green Party.
Right.
So he thinks that black folks and gay folks are getting a pass in the party just because they're black and gay. How dare you?
Yep.
How dare you? You were there during the Civil Rights Act. But now, I mean, he has gone astray since 2016. But he has great history. His recent history is not so great, Bernie Sanders.
As black folks and gay folks are under attack via DEI, I know people who have lost their job, I know people who've been impacted.
But did you vote for the Green Party? Did you vote for the party that would end wars and raise minimum wage? Did you vote for the party that would give people universal health care? Did you promote that party? Did you bring people from that party on your show so they could tell people that they have the policies that are good for them? Or did you say, just vote for the Democrats because whatever, duopoly, oligarchy, and we don't care? Which one did you do?
You got federal workers, 18% are black, being fired. And you're talking about identity politics, Senator? You sound MAGA.
Yep.
Actually, you sound worse than MAGA. You sound Nixon.
Ooh.
You know what? You sound worse than Nixon. You sound Dixiecratish.
Wow. Yeah.
Wait a second, Dixiecrat. Are they from the Democrats? You sound Dixiecrat right now. Mr. One Party Duopoly, feed the oligarchy. That's Dixiecrat shit. You're goofy. These guys, liberals, don't hear themselves. Liberals should talk in the mirror more. You guys need to look in the mirror and say all these things that you think that you're saying to the right wing, and say it to the mirror and hear it and see how it reflects you. It is you. You should be talking to yourself.
So why don't you come over to a black media outlet and talk that talk, and let's have a conversation?
Exactly.
Because I know you felt like, well, I'll never forget.
See if I
Gosh,
can
I have
get
a
on the
quote
show.
somewhere in my book, The Grift. Sanders said something like, "It's a shame that President Barack Obama didn't win more of the vote in Mississippi."
Yeah.
Remember when he said that?
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I think he only got I forgot the number, but I was surprised he got 1% of the vote in Mississippi.
Exactly.
All those black people in Mississippi.
But it's all about class. It's all about class. It's not all about class. Class matters, but there's an intersection with race. And that right there, what you heard, what I just said, what Dr. Omékongo just said, that is...
There's an intersection with race, and the Green Party sees it. The Democratic Party says they don't see it. So why are you guys not with the Green Party? Why don't you stand on your morals?
Why he struggled so much with black voters. And there were some good folks on his team, but he struggled.
That's right.
There is a blind spot that he has.
We're going to finish this one off with some Hardlands media. I got some that liberal right wing. When I got black liberals, I got to wash myself off. I need some left wing action on this now.
Is going to admit that Democrats don't hold fair elections and are also a threat to democracy. Really?
Really? That's new? Like we didn't know? Some don't know.
Oh,
I guess.
thank you,
The
Bernie,
liberals.
for this, for something that we've been telling you for 8 years.
We didn't
Long
even know
time.
if Biden was president. We didn't even know if these were her talking points. And we felt that over the last 4 elections, Democrats, we felt that we didn't have a say on who could be president. We talk a lot about the Republicans being autocrats and oligarchs and taking over democracy, but from the Democrat perspective,
Duopoly is the oligarchs.
and I'm a lifelong Democrat, I felt like the Democratic Party completely removed the democratic process from its constituents. And I think they need to have some accountability of that.
No argument here.
I donated for you. I mean, I wanted you to, like, 2016, I was like, this is going to happen. This guy's going to do it. And it felt like they...
No argument, but still he backs the Democrats now. It's just insane.
It felt like they stole it from me. And I'll be honest, it broke my heart when you supported them. Look.
Right?
It broke all of our hearts. I was there in Philly. I saw it in 2020. 2016, 2020. Wasted my life on this guy.
But you have, in the world that I live in, you got a choice. And
the world that I live in, you have a choice. That's a sellout right there.
I mean, a lot of people, including my wife, agree with you. But, you know, you're down to a choice. There's going to be Hillary
You're down to 2 choices. No, you're not, Bernie. You had an entire movement. Bernie Sanders, you had a huge opportunity, a huge movement, enough people that you could have got the Green Party, the Burn Party, the DSA. You could have got them governors, mayors, senators all over the nation. Maybe you wouldn't have got them president. If you ran, I think you would have. You would have won in the Green Party in 2016 if you would have. I don't know if you'd have won in 2016. You might have, but it would have been a great race if you'd have went to the Green Party and you would have went against Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, because you would have been on the stage. They'd have had to put you on the stage, and you probably would have won. I think you would have won in 2020 if you didn't win in 2016, because we got that pandemic going, and you're the man of universal health care. But you took this movement. You had the ability to do what I haven't seen. Maybe Barack Obama had the same ability, but that's about it. You and Barack. And you wasted it. You gave your movement to the Democratic Party, who just squashed it and told us to go home and do nothing.
Clinton, or is it going to be Donald Trump? Not a great choice.
But it ended up being him anyway.
Exactly. It ended up being him anyway. When you could have built the Green Party And like I said, we would have got governors, mayors, some senators, some House of Representatives, some city councils, some whatever else stuff we vote for. People on whatever boards and stuff. And we still would have got Donald Trump, but then we would have had people down the line that are left-wing, actual left-wing, who are different than Democrats, right-wing Democrats, and right-wing Republicans, who will let Donald Trump push his agenda. So, yeah, Bernie, you could have done a lot. You could have helped us get senators, mayors, but instead, you put this movement, your left-wing movement, into a right-wing party who just did right-wing stuff and let right-wing people do right-wing things.
So why don't we burn it down?
Yes.
Yes, let's burn it down.
Because it's easy to say burning it down means that children are not going to have, food to eat.
Homelessness went up under Joe Biden. We have food deserts all over the place. The Green Party is talking about permaculture, talking about trying to feed everybody and get locally sourced food for people. And of course, we'll have the food chain still, the big structure where we send it around the country. But if we have a lot of big producing fruit trees, local animals, chickens, pigs, cows, whatever, locally, where we can do local produce a lot easier and food, all the kinds of stuff. Yeah. But the Democratic Party doesn't talk about that. They don't do that. They don't care about that. It's not gonna.
Schools will deteriorate. People will not have help.
Democratic Party isn't doing nothing for the schools.
Yeah,
I got it.
And I'm an elected official. I got to represent the people.
That's fair.
And I can't turn my back on.
You got to represent the people, but you don't. You represent the corporate party now. You're talking about the Democrats like you're a Democrat. And if you support the Democratic Party, you support the corporations, not the people. The Democratic Party is not for the people. They are for the corporations.
But then could we not also say, if ostensibly there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008, are they not also a threat to democracy? Yes. We often hear.
Fair enough. That is.
Yet I will caucus with them and run with them and act like they're the only party that you can vote for.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that point.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. Bernie, people were asking you to help lead the way, the foundations, okay? I did an interview with Jimmy Dore way back in 2017 at McCormick Place for the People's Summit. People were screaming for you. I remember it. I remember the last day when you were speaking to people, and as so many in the audience were saying that you got robbed and that they stole it from you, and you dismissed them. I remember that day. I saw that day.
Sad day for the left.
Get out of here. But hold on. Look. Let's be clear, because Bernie started to talk a little bit more about the establishment. I know. Just, it's like, gee, Bernie, you could have brought this up earlier on, right?
70s, 60s. Democrats caught on that you could raise a lot of money from wealthy people.
Mm-hmm.
And so it gets back to the campaign.
So he's going back to the 60s and 70s. I think it's probably been longer than that, but I mean, if the Democrats have been bad since the 60s, what is that? 60 some odd years?
Financing and all that stuff. So you got a Democratic establishment now, which is funded by wealthy people. You have consultants who are really way out of touch with reality, who make a whole lot of money in campaigns. And working class is ignored. Donald Trump comes along and says, I care about you, which was a lie. So
I don't know if that's a lie. I'd give pushback on that. I think that it has to be proven that
working class is ignored. Donald Trump comes along and says, I care about you.
Which was a lie. But Joe Biden.
And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that. Super predators.
They're going to get mad that Trump said he cared about people. This is what Joe Biden said about people.
And Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those.
Beyond the pale. It doesn't matter how you got there. It doesn't matter that society didn't care for people and things are fucked up for you. It doesn't matter. Let's see what matters to Joe Biden.
Beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society. Out of society. Out of society.
Take them out of society.
It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to.
It doesn't matter if they're the victims of society. It doesn't matter if society doesn't help you out, if you're just, you have no ability to become a raised person, like society left you out. That doesn't matter to him. This is a senator, a person, a president at one time, a vice president. This is a what do you call it, a political Democrat who says it does not matter what happens to you as you grow up. Let's continue.
Knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons.
So yeah, he cares about his family, but he doesn't care why you're in your situation. Of course, we all care about our family, and no matter what situation you're in, I don't want you to hurt my family, but I would care about what situation you're in that you want to hurt my family or need to steal or rob, and my family just happens to be the one that you're robbing or stealing from. I'd rather help the situation before you need to feel like you need to steal or rob. But this is a man who has been in Congress or been in politics, been in government for quite a long time, and then trying to say it doesn't matter how you got to where you're at?
So I don't want to ask what made them do this.
You don't want to ask what made them do this.
They must be taken off the street.
Okay.
That's number one. There's a consensus on that. The Democratic chairman of the Judiciary Committee, the Democratic president of the United States of America, the Democratic attorney general, the Republican leader of this effort, Senator Hatch, the Republican senator from Texas.
So the Democrats and Republicans are all in agreement that it does not matter why you're in the situation you're in. We will just bring you to heel, like Hillary Clinton said. Super predators, super predators.
We all agree on that. Now, we can find some fringe folks in the study groups on the right wing and left wing, libertarians and left wingers in my party who say, no, that's not what we should do. But politically, that consensus has been arrived at. I acknowledge there was not that consensus in the 60s. There is today. There's a second thing that we all have agreed upon, and that is unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without...
We do something about the cadre of young people born out of wedlock, not about how society can help, like he said, it doesn't matter how they got there. And now what are we going to do about these cadre of young people? Are you going to just say, let's not birth them? Let's see where he's going.
Of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any...
Without supervision. So would the remedy be to give them supervision? Like I said, the Green Party, we're talking about giving supervision from 2 to 5, where most kids need, or all kids need supervision, especially when they're young, from the time they get off of school to when their parents get off of work.
Born out of wedlock,
because it matters.
Without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally...
This is nuts.
It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents, It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created.
And this is Joe Biden, part of the person who creates society, talking about he neglected people, but it doesn't matter.
Does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people.
That's crazy.
Beyond the pale.
These are the
and it's a
Democrats
sad
that care more about
commentary
it.
on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society. And the truth is,
not make society better, not raise people better, but just take them out of society.
we don't very well know how to rehabilitate them at that point. That's the sad truth. You're looking at the fellow who was one of the primary architects of the sentence.
If you don't know how to do something, get out the way. If you don't know how to rehabilitate the people that you're arresting and locking up, stop arresting and locking up people. Actually, get out of Congress, get out of politics, and let somebody who knows how to do it.
Sentencing Commission. You know what the basic premise of the Sentencing Commission is? I know the presiding officer knows. It was the first time in 80 years we rejected the notion that the condition of sentencing must be related to how long it would take to rehabilitate.
Ooh.
I'm the guy that said rehabilitation, when it occurs, we don't understand it and notice it. And even when we notice it and we know it occurs, we don't know why.
So it just can't be done. So just keep him in jail. I have no idea what's going on around here. This dude is just saying he doesn't know what's happening. He's been saying that he doesn't know what's happening for what? This is in the 90s? 30 years he hasn't known what's happening, and people in the Democratic Party keep voting for this guy. Why are you doing this, Democrats?
So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition for release. That's why in our system, there's the federal system, you serve 85% of your time.
Just serve it. Don't worry about anything. Don't rehabilitate. Just serve your time.
I remember when it was going on, when I was making these arguments in the late 70s, they used to call it Biden's same time for the same crime provision. It's a shame, but we don't know how to rehabilitate. But there is a consensus, and I will cease. A, we must make the streets safer. I don't care why someone is a malefactor in society.
He does not care why somebody's a malefactor in society. He's telling you who he is. He does not care about you, your child, or anybody that's not his family. Listen.
I don't care why someone is antisocial. I don't care why they become a sociopath. We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society, try to help them.
But what if you're the reason they become that? They don't have health care. They don't have good food. They have lead pipes for their water. There's all kinds of reasons societies, it takes a village to do things, right? Like you can't do it on your own. And because you're in practice, because you're in government, you're the reason that a lot of people are where they're at. And so you want to tell people, oh, you don't care why, because you don't want them to care why. If they cared why, you wouldn't be in office no more.
Try to change their behavior. That's why we do in this bill. We have drug treatment and we have other treatments to try to deal with it.
But do you have educational programs from pre-K to good educational programs in every low-income area, be it black or white, both are poor, be it Mexican, anywhere, be it mixed, wherever it's at? Do you have good programs to help kids reach their pinnacle, their best ability? No, you don't, because you just said you don't care why they're there. You just care that they got there, and once they're there, you just want to throw them in jail because they can't be rehabilitated. But they could have been prehabilitated if they were taught before they got to be 16 or 14 and angry and not having been, taught and worked with and paid attention to.
They are in jail.
Put them in jail.
Away from my mother.
Away from his people.
Your husband.
The people he cares about.
but we would be absolutely stupid as a society if we didn't recognize the condition that nurtured those folks still exist. And we must deal with that.
Oh my gosh. And so his deal with it, he recognizes these conditions exist, but he says he doesn't care how they got there or why they got there, but then he noticed these conditions exist, but then he's just going to put them in jail because he doesn't care how or why they got there. He just wants to use the prison industrial complex. Are you serious?
And I think there's a consensus among Republicans in that. Old barbed wire Republican conservatives want to hang them high. Even those folks are saying, hey, we got to deal with the root cause of this. Not one or the other.
Wait. You just said you didn't want to deal with the root cause. You said that you didn't care how or why they got there. Which one is it? The Republicans want to deal with the root cause, but you don't? So, okay, now, across the spectrum viewers, which one is better? The Republicans who want to deal with the root cause, or Joe Biden who doesn't care? It doesn't matter how you got there. I just want to put you in jail.
But separately. And liberal Democrats who used to say, let's look at the sociological underpinnings of why this occurred, and they're now saying, hey, look, we got to take back the streets. We'll make that fight later. So there is a consensus. I hope the remainder of the discussion as we close out.
Consensus, the bipartisanship, the duopoly is always against the people. Please, guys, start to notice this. I mean, if you watch this channel, you probably do notice it. But we need to share with others, and we need others to understand they don't care about us. He's saying hardcore, it doesn't matter. Share my video or share this video. Joe Biden, 1994 crime bill speech. There's one that's real low. This one has 7 minutes and 48 seconds on it. Try to find this one. But the other one has a really low volume to it.
The debate in this bill, we can end that old fight. We can put it behind us. Hopefully we have, the senator from West Virginia said this is a historic moment on this bill. A consensus being reached. I think it is, but I think it's a historic moment for a political reason as well.
Ooh.
Hopefully we will end the discussion about whether or not.
Since Trump caring about you was a lie, I just had to show you what the Democrats, Joe Biden, and them think about us also. Oops.
Which was a lie. So
I don't know if that's a lie. I'd give pushback on that. I think that it has to be proven that it's a lie.
All right, I'll prove it.
I think I just proved that the Democrats don't care about us or you. Could have showed some Hillary Clinton too, super predators and all that.
And you're right. I could look through rose-colored glasses, but the idea, I think that when people are struggling, anybody who goes, "Hey, I'm going to help you out."
So look, I mean, gee, Bernie, you could have done it really a long time ago. It's like better late than never, but okay, all right, hold on. But here's his commentary on Kamala Harris. Don't worry, he's even going to talk about Hillary Clinton too. I know. Brace yourself for that one.
He ran on this idea of we're going to make it better for you, instead of Kamala seemed to run on this idea like, hey, it's good, we're going to keep doing the exact same thing, which is a losing strategy.
You got it.
So
that was her bloody consult. I mean, I know Kamala. She's a friend. She's very smart. That
All
was
the
what
Democrats are his
bloody
friends.
consultants told her to say. I begged them. I'm just between you.
why
I mean,
can't she push back like at a certain like?
You're right. Look, there's no argument.
And this is the problem I think a lot of voters had is like they didn't even know if it was her. We didn't even know if Biden was president. We didn't even know if these were her talking points. He ran on this idea.
So all right, because it's going to be rewinding. It's going to be rewinding a little bit, but hold on. There's also I find it odd that he was saying like, no, I begged him not to do it. I begged him not to do it. I begged him not to do it.
Right.
Well, look, Democrats, I mean, you know, especially you, Bernie, you know just how dirty they play. I mean, case in point, and by the way, Nini64 says his voice gotten deeper, so you know he's serious. And Old Man Barker says, rabble. And Kevin Madison says, stop calling these parasites friends, Bernie. He has no other, he doesn't have any other thing to
Bernie's
say.
friends with everybody.
The hatred that we felt in 2016, 2020 from the Democratic establishment. I'll give you an example. We would do rallies and we have thousands of people, often young people of color coming out, working class people coming out. They were great, full of energy. Yeah. And then we go to Democratic Party events. There'd be a few hundred people, mostly older, whiter, wealthier. He saw the clash. And the establishment did not want to open the door. They hated the idea.
Bernie was just talking about identity politics. And now he's talking about the thing with older, whiter dudes or whatever. Are you serious?
2020 from the Democratic establishment. Give you an example. We would do rallies and we had thousands of people, often young people of color coming out, working class people coming out.
People of color coming out, working class people.
They were great, full of
That's two identities, color, working class.
energy. Yeah. And then we go to Democratic Party events. There'd be a few hundred people, mostly older, whiter, wealthier.
Older, whiter, wealthier. That's three identities. Old, white, and wealthy. So he's playing identity politics. I don't understand these people that keep talking about identity politics are bad, and then they point out identities and use politics. What are you talking about? Bernie, you're losing it.
He saw the clash. And the establishment did not want to open the door.
The establishment is an identity. They don't like to claim the identity. Well, maybe they do. I don't know. I don't talk to them like that. But that's a good picture. We're giving it to them, though. That's their identity. The establishment, those that aren't the people, those that are for the businesses, the Democrats and the Republicans.
They hated the idea. All these people whose hands were a little bit dirty, who didn't have PhDs or weren't wealthy. Imagine walking into, it's my party, man. You ain't getting in.
Yes.
We will fight.
Oh my God. So go to the Green Party. We want you, all you working class people, all you regular people, even you non-regular people. We want all the people. We're not a party that's going to be like, you're different than us. You can't come. Come on in.
Fight you in the most ruthless ways that we can. And that's the struggle. Are they going to open who didn't have PhDs or weren't wealthy? Imagine walking into, it's my party, man. You ain't getting in.
Yes.
We will fight you in the most ruthless ways that we can.
He's talking about the Democratic Party. They will fight you in the most ruthless ways they can. Why, Bernie, are you supporting this party that makes absolutely no sense?
And that's the struggle. Are they going to open the door, or are they prepared to lose elections, literally, and maintain
The status quo.
go down with the Titanic? So the hatred that we felt.
Well, they're going to go down like the Titanic. That's what the Democrats are going to do.
Democratic
Democrats
Party
are going
is,
to go
of
down
course.
like the Titanic because they have nothing else to run on. All right. And Sanders, he also talks about how when asked about his grassroots supporters.
So again, like, share, subscribe, watching the channel. If you made it this far, go to Hardlands Media. He will respond to your comments. Leave some comments about the Green Party. Leave some comments about my channel. Ask him if he'll have me on. I've asked him before. We talked a little bit, but obviously, well, not obviously, but I haven't been on yet. Let's see if we can get some Green Party people on. We try to get Butch Ware on. If he has me on, I'll try to send him over to Butch Ware, or Butch Ware over to him, however you call it, either way.
Were racist and misogynist. Remember that in 2016? So if you were a Bernie Sanders supporter,
Bros,
and if
racist
you
and
were a
misogynist.
woman, a black man, a Latino man, an Asian man, Muslim man, Jewish man, or a woman of any kind of color or creed, any generation, congratulations. In 2016, all of you became straight white males.
I don't know if they said that, but racist and misogynist. You didn't have to be a straight white male to be a racist or misogynist.
Remember, because all Bernie Sanders supporters were racist and
Better get his
misogynist. Congratulations. For that one moment in time, that blip in the radar, you were all straight white males. Woogie boogie 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 boogie, a woogie boogie 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 boogie.
We have a question we want to ask about what happened to you in 2016 with this Bernie Bros movement, where your followers are seeing they have a racism problem, a misogyny problem. Do you think that's a super PAC thing behind that?
That was the Democratic establishment. That was
the Democratic establishment, the party that I back now, the party that I go to, that I caucus with. What are you talking about, Bernie? How does that make any sense? Why would you be with these people that went at us? You said not me, us. The Democratic establishment went at us, and now you back them, and you don't back us.
Wow. Okay.
That was just, they were sitting there. We had a lot of young people. We had people of color, and they create this kind of myth with the help of the corporate media and all that stuff.
It's kind of interesting to that note is during this election, the podcast space, which the Democrats largely avoided,
Big
they
mistake.
feel had some influence in the election, and they started to label us the podcast bros, and said that we were sexist and we were racist and bigoted. It's almost like it's the exact same strategy to get you out of there.
Yeah, that's what the liberal elite trying to do.
And you keep calling them your friends. Tiberius Monk, it's stunning how much a nutless one of Bernie has become. We went to your rallies and supported you, Bernie, and you turned your back on us. Shame. Absolutely.
Yes.
Right,
I agree.
Rooney.
Shame on you, Bernie.
Shame. Shame on them all. Of course, one other thing here, too. Let me go and
Did
pull
you
this
back
up here.
this
Let me
party,
just pull
man?
this
It's
up here, too.
crazy.
Hold on.
Are you going to run for president?
Please ask, yes. I'm 83 years of age, so that is, I think I've run my last race. But,
Now, does that mean...
Zero fair races.
Does that mean that this oligarchy tour is you passing the baton?
No, don't look at it like that. The oligarchy tour is...
I think we're all looking at it
The
like
oligarchy tour is all about sheep herding people into the Democratic Party. It's not about doing anything positive. Bernie ain't doing shit. He got us fooled. But don't buy that. Like, if he was really serious, he would be doing an oligarchy/duopoly tour and running for Green Party. Like, it would be for the takeover, passing the baton. He would be passing it to the Green Party, to the DSA, making a burn party, whatever. It wouldn't be sheep herding people into a right-wing Democratic Party who does not care about you and works for the corporations, just like the right-wing Republican Party.
No, it's not a passing the baton. I happen to, I think Alexandria is great, but it's not my job to determine who the new leaders are. People have each of them. As I mentioned, in the House, there are a lot of great people. The Senate, there's some good.
It's not your job to tell people where to vote, but you tell people that they shouldn't vote third party, that they should be in the Democratic Party, go independent or Democrat, because whatever. But you keep the power away from the people doing this. Your job is really to keep power from the people, which kind of sucks because it used to not be that.
People. And there are people who are not in office right now.
Or at least I believed in you before. Now I don't. Now I think that you are part of the duopoly. You are part of the complex, the what do you call it? The corporation, the whatever military, everything industrial complex. You were part of that, and it just sucks because I really believed in you in 2016 and even 2020.
But the oligarchy tour was an effort to say to the country that there are people all over America who are going to stand up to this oligarchy. They don't want a government of billionaires. They're going to stand up to authoritarianism.
But what about good billionaires in the Democratic Party? And I just showed you Joe Biden sounded pretty authoritarian.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it was a lightning in the bottle kind of moment. Okay, this is the actions of Bernie Sanders. He chose not to fight, and he chose not to do anything, and he chose to let the Democrats walk all over him, and he chose this and that and everything else in between. He made his bed and he's laid in it. Okay, that's what happened.
True. And I'm about to make my bed and lie in it. I gotta go take a nap. I'm gonna leave all the links to the description or in the description below. But again, I apologize that I'm not here quite as much. I'm doing a lot of basketball. I got a game tonight. Got practices every day that I don't have a game. So, that they don't have a game. I'm coaching kids. I'm not actually playing. I'm coaching the game. So, however you want to look at it. But keep coming back to Across the Spectrum.